Pick any wife as reward. He chose the ugliest, not knowing her daughter could change the galaxy. The great hall of the galactic empire was filled with light, noise, and pride. Hundreds of alien leaders stood in rows, their eyes full of power and ego. This was the place where winners were honored and the weak were remembered only as jokes. At the center of the hall stood one single human. He was tall but thin, his armor old and scratched. Compared to the giant alien warriors around him, he looked small and out of place. Most of the crowd believed he did not belong here. Humans were known as weak, emotional, and short-lived. They were used as scouts, workers, or soldiers sent to die first, but today, this human had done something impossible. Only days ago, the Empire had almost fallen. A deadly enemy fleet had broken through the outer defenses. Alien commanders panicked, strategies failed, and fleets burned in space. That was when the human stepped forward. No one expected anything from him, no one even remembered his name. He led a small broken unit into enemy space, with no support and no escape. The mission was called suicide by every commander. But the human did not retreat. He studied the enemy, watched their patterns, and waited. Then he attacked at the one moment no alien mind could imagine. The enemy fleet collapsed into chaos. Their leader was destroyed. The war ended in a single brutal strike. Now that same human stood in the grand hall. The Empire had no choice but to reward him. Tradition demanded it. The Emperor rose from his throne. His voice echoed across the hall, calm and proud. He spoke of honor, sacrifice, and victory. Then he announced the reward. "Choose any wife from our noble houses." Gasps filled the room. This was no small prize. A chosen wife meant power, protection, and a place among the elite. It was more than gold or land. Rows of alien women stepped forward. They were tall, glowing, strong, and beautiful, each one trained, respected, and connected to powerful families. Whispers spread through the crowd. They laughed quietly. They made bets. Everyone knew what the human would do. He would choose the strongest, the most beautiful, the most useful. The human looked at them silently. His face showed no excitement, no fear, no greed. Then his eyes moved past the shining figures, past the proud smiles, past the perfect forms. At the far edge of the hall stood someone no one noticed. She was smaller than the others, her skin dull, her posture low. She wore simple clothes, no jewels, no family symbol. Many in the hall had forgotten her name. Some did not even know she was there. She was known only by a cruel title. The ugly one, she did not raise her head. She did not hope. She did not smile. The human walked forward. Each step slow and steady, the hall grew quiet. Alien smiles turned into confusion. Whispers stopped. Even the Emperor leaned forward. The human stopped in front of her. He turned to face the throne. Then he spoke clearly. "I choose her." For a moment, no one reacted. Then laughter burst from the crowd. Some aliens could not believe what they heard. The Emperor stared. His advisors whispered urgently. This had never happened before. "Are you certain?" the Emperor asked. "There are others far more suitable." The human did not look away. He did not explain. He only nodded. The ugly alien woman finally raised her eyes. Confusion and fear filled her face. She believed this was a cruel joke. The laughter slowly faded, replaced by shock and anger. Some felt insulted, others embarrassed. Why would a human choose her? What weakness did he see? What secret deal was this? No one noticed the small figure watching from behind the pillars. The hall was silent after the human's choice. Whispers moved like shadows through the crowd. Even the strongest warriors dared not speak. The woman he had chosen, known as Vera, took slow steps forward, her head low, her hands trembling slightly. No one in the Empire had ever paid her attention. Not even the Emperor, who ruled thousands of worlds. Vera's past was a story the Empire tried to forget. Born on a forgotten planet at the edge of the galaxy, she had grown up in shadows and silence. Mocked by everyone, rejected by her own people. Her parents had died in a minor rebellion, and she had been forced to survive alone. Working with her hands, learning quickly, hiding her face, hiding her pain, Hiding her child, no one knew she had a daughter. A child who was smart, quiet, and strangely different. Vera had kept her daughter hidden in a small room beneath the palace, teaching her only what was necessary. Teaching her to stay invisible, the human, named Kale, had no knowledge of this at first. He had chosen her not because he knew her secret, but because he could see strength, not in muscles or jewels, but in the way she carried herself, in the silence that hid her scars, in the courage no one else had noticed. Kale had fought in the war not for glory, not for reward, but because he believed in justice. In protecting the weak he saw what others missed, and now, his choice shocked the Empire. Vera walked beside him, unsure what to feel. Her mind raced with questions. Why would a human choose someone like her? Someone despised and forgotten. The whispers in the hall grew louder. Some aliens were angry, some curious, some laughed, but a few, very few, watched silently. And they noticed something strange in Vera's posture. Her hand brushed against her chest, and for the briefest moment a glow flickered in her eyes. Something old, powerful, almost dangerous, but no one could see it clearly. Kale did not notice the glow at first either. He only felt the weight of her presence, a silent promise that she could survive, even if the universe turned against her. Later that night, in the private chambers of the human and Vera, the child appeared for the first time. She had hair like silver threads and eyes that reflected light strangely. She looked at Kale without fear, but Kale felt something deep and unsettling. As if the child knew more than she should, as if she could see his thoughts. And maybe even more than that, Vera warned Kale quietly. Do not underestimate her. Keep her hidden. The Empire would destroy her if they knew. Kale nodded. Though he had fought countless battles, he had never seen fear like this. The fear of being hunted for one's very existence. Days passed, and Kale began to notice subtle things about Vera. The way she could move without a sound, the way she could sense danger before it came. The way her eyes seemed to understand truth that no one spoke aloud. The Empire, meanwhile, could not stop watching them. Alien ambassadors whispered to each other. Why would a human choose weakness? Some laughed, some frowned, some quietly feared the answer, though they did not know why. Kale's curiosity about Vera grew. He asked small questions. About her past, about her family, and every answer she gave deepened the mystery. Then one night, a servant brought a sealed message from the Emperor. Kale opened it cautiously. The message was simple. Your choice is foolish and dangerous. Keep her safe, or pay the price. Kale read the words twice. Then looked at Vera. He realized he had chosen more than a wife. He had chosen a puzzle, a storm, and a secret that could shake the galaxy. Meanwhile, the child watched from shadows. Her small hand rested on the edge of the table, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "They don't know." Yet, the tension in the palace grew thicker. Kale and Vera had to navigate not only the whispers of the Empire, but the secrets Vera had kept for years, and the power the child carried unknowingly, because the Empire did not know. But in the blood of the hidden child flowed the power of a long-lost alien dynasty, a dynasty that could rival even the Emperor himself, a dynasty that slept quietly beneath shadows, waiting for the right moment, and Kale, a human, had unknowingly stepped into the middle of it. Choosing the ugliest woman had done more than shock the Empire. It had awakened a chain of events that could change the balance of power forever. The whispers in the hall would turn to panic, the strong would tremble, and the galaxy would soon remember one lesson clearly: never underestimate humans, or the ones they choose. And in the quiet chambers of the palace, Kale and Vera could feel it already, the first stirrings of a storm that carried the future in its heart, and the small child, hidden and silent, watched it all with wide, knowing eyes. Her lips curved slightly in a mysterious smile, for she knew the Empire had no idea what was coming. Weeks passed quietly in the grand palace, but quiet was never truly peace. The Empire watched closely, waiting for a mistake. Every whisper, every glance, every movement was measured and recorded. Kale had begun to understand the weight of his choice. Vera was more than she seemed, and the child, small and silent, was no ordinary daughter. It started with small things, almost invisible. The child would vanish for hours and return as if she had never moved. Objects would shift slightly when she was upset, and sometimes the air around her hummed faintly, like a warning, like a presence older than the stars. Vera never spoke of it, she only watched Cale carefully. And Cale watched the child, a mix of awe and fear growing inside him. He had faced alien fleets, deadly weapons, and impossible odds, but this was something else. One night, the palace alarms rang. A fleet of rogue alien mercenaries had slipped past the Empire's outer defenses. Their target, the palace, their goal, destroy the human. Destroy Vera, destroy the hidden child. Cale was ready, but not in the way anyone expected. He did not fight with weapons first, he did not shout orders. He simply stood in front of Vera and the child, and waited. The invaders entered the throne hall, laughing and confident, believing humans were weak. Believing the ugly alien was nothing, believing a child could do no harm. Then the child stepped forward, her small figure glowing faintly, eyes shining like stars. The invaders froze, confused, terrified. Before anyone could move, the air around the child shifted. The walls trembled, the floors cracked slightly, and the invaders' weapons failed, their systems overloaded. Their ships outside the palace could not communicate, could not fire. Cale realized what he was seeing. The child was not just powerful, she was ancient. A remnant of a lost alien dynasty, her blood carried knowledge, energy, and command over forces that could challenge even the Emperor. Vera finally spoke, her voice calm but strong. She is not just my daughter. She is the future of the galaxy. The words made Cale's heart beat faster. And at that moment, the child's glow expanded, filling the hall with light. The invaders screamed, their minds overwhelmed. And then they fell silent, frozen in awe and fear. The Empire's advisors rushed to Cale. What is happening? They cried, but Cale only smiled faintly, a human smile, simple and unafraid. Never underestimate humans, he said softly. And never underestimate the ones they protect. The invaders, defeated without a single strike from Cale, were taken into custody, shaken and broken, their fleets retreating into the darkness of space. And the Empire began to realize the truth, slowly, painfully. Humans were not weak. And neither was the one they mocked, or the child they never noticed. The Emperor himself appeared in the throne hall, his eyes wide with disbelief. He looked at Cale, at Vera, at the child, and for the first time, he understood a lesson he had never learned. The humans, they are dangerous when underestimated, he whispered. Cale's hand rested lightly on Vera's shoulder. Not a gesture of dominance, but of respect. The Empire had seen alien power, and yet the human and the ugly alien woman had changed everything. Vera's daughter, still glowing faintly, walked to Cale and spoke in a small, calm voice. I know what I must do, and I will protect the galaxy. Her words carried weight, power older than most civilizations. And Cale felt proud. The human had chosen wisely. Not for beauty, not for glory, but for strength that mattered. The palace was silent again, but this time, the silence was different. No whispers, no laughter, no doubt. Only understanding and fear. Because the galaxy had changed, and the small, quiet human choice had started a chain of events no one could stop. Cale looked at Vera, and she finally smiled, faint but real. Your choice was more than brave, she said. It was wise, human, Cale nodded, understanding finally what he had done. He had chosen not just a wife, but the protector of the future, the spark that would ignite the hidden power of humanity in the galaxy. And in that hall, the Empire's leaders learned an important truth. They had laughed at the ugly alien, they had underestimated the human, and they had ignored the child, but now, none of them could ignore the reality. The galaxy was no longer theirs to control. Humans had arrived, and the child they did not see coming would shape the fate of stars, planets, and empires alike. And Cale, standing quietly beside Vera, realized that the choice he had made so casually had changed everything, the galaxy, the empire, and the very balance of power forever. The empire was quiet, but the air was heavy with tension. The leaders of alien worlds whispered among themselves. They had seen the impossible. The humans had survived. The ugly alien had commanded respect, and the child had displayed power beyond imagination. Kale stood in the throne hall, beside him. Vera's hand rested lightly on his arm, her eyes calm yet full of confidence. The child stepped forward, her silver hair glowing faintly, her small frame carrying the weight of an entire galaxy. The Emperor approached slowly, his voice low but shaking. You have done the impossible." Kale only nodded. Humans did not boast, they acted, and they protected what mattered. Vera's daughter looked around the room, her gaze piercing, and with a subtle motion, the fleet of the rogue mercenaries surrendered. Ships powered down, weapons deactivated. No one dared resist the presence of the child. No one dared challenge what they could not understand. For the first time, the Empire understood fear. Not fear of war, not fear of defeat, but fear of what they had ignored for centuries. The strength of humanity, the courage of the weak, the potential hidden in what they had mocked. Kale turned to Vera. "You were right to hide her," he said. "Not for shame, but for strength," Vera smiled faintly. "Yes," she replied. "The galaxy is not ready to see all at once, but it is ready now." The child spoke, her voice echoing softly but clearly. "I will protect what my mother protected. I will honor what my father chose. I will not allow the weak to be forgotten, nor the strong to oppress." Her words carried through the halls, through the stars beyond, through the hearts of humans and aliens alike. The galaxy seemed to pause, as if listening, waiting. The Emperor lowered his head. He realized the truth he had denied for years. Humans were not weak. They were not foolish. They were not simple. They were unpredictable, resilient, and dangerous, and one human's choice had changed everything. Kale and Vera left the throne hall together, the child walking between them. Glowing faintly, the Empire watched silently. Some with respect, some with fear, and some quietly, secretly plotting, but for now the galaxy had witnessed a new reality. Planets once loyal to the Empire began to question authority. Aliens who had laughed at humans now whispered their names with caution. The story of Kale, Vera, and their child would travel faster than any fleet. A legend of courage, choice, and unexpected power. Kale looked at the child. She smiled faintly, knowing the universe was larger and stranger than any human mind could imagine, but she was ready, and humans, for the first time, were not just observers. They were shapers, creators, protectors of the galaxy. Vera spoke softly. "The world will change because of this. Not just for us, but for everyone." Kale nodded. He knew the truth of her words. The galaxy had shifted, and there was no going back. The child raised her hand, and, for a moment, the stars themselves seemed to glow brighter, a sign of hope, of power, of a new era. The Empire understood finally. Humans had chosen wisely. Not for beauty, not for glory, but for strength, courage, and heart. The Emperor whispered one last time, "Perhaps we were wrong all along," and Kale smiled faintly, a simple human smile. Unshaken by the vastness of space, unmoved by fear, only certain in one thing: choice, courage, and honor could change the fate of stars. And a human had done just that, and so the galaxy entered a new era. The humans were no longer second class. The child, hidden for so long, became a symbol of hope and strength. The Empire learned to respect what it had ignored. And Kale, standing quietly with Vera and their daughter, knew the future was not written in power or beauty, but in the choices of the brave and the courage of the ones no one believed in. The galaxy would never forget the human who chose the ugly alien, the woman who survived the shadows, and the child who would protect the stars. Their story echoed in whispers and legends, and in the hearts of every being, a reminder that sometimes the smallest choices carry the greatest power, and somewhere in the stars, a new chapter began, one that no empire, no race, and no army could ever ignore again. In a galaxy where humans are considered weak and powerless, One man's choice shocks the entire empire. Rewarded for his bravery in a deadly interstellar war, he is offered the chance to choose any wife as a reward. Every eye in the hall expects him to select the strongest, the most beautiful alien, but he does the unexpected. He chooses the one everyone ignores, the ugliest, quietest woman in the empire. What no one realizes is that she hides a secret that could change the fate of the galaxy forever. Her daughter, small and seemingly harmless, carries powers from an ancient bloodline, a secret so dangerous that even the Empire cannot comprehend it. As threats rise, the human, the ugly alien, and her mysterious daughter must stand together against forces that would destroy everything. This story is filled with suspense, shocking twists, and the ultimate human finally human, HFY, moment that proves humans are stronger, smarter, and more resilient than any alien race ever imagined. From unexpected choices to hidden power, betrayal, and galactic warfare, this sci-fi story will keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. If you love action-packed HFY tales with suspense, mystery, and thrilling twists, this story is for you. Subscribe for more sci-fi HFY stories where humans rise against all odds. Don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts on who you think holds the ultimate power in this story.